My fiancée slept with my cousin before our engagement, so I called off the wedding publicly and left her family humiliated in front of everyone. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and for the last year, I've been planning the future I thought I'd spend with the woman I loved. Back then, everything in my life revolved around Emma, my work schedule, my savings plan, even my long-term goals. I was the kind of man who believed that love wasn't just about big gestures. It was about showing up every day, being consistent, being dependable. So I picked up extra shifts, worked late nights, and put aside every spare dollar to buy her the ring she once pointed at in a jewelry store window. I remember thinking, if I do everything right, nothing can go wrong. My family always said I took on too much responsibility, but I shrugged it off. I want to give her the life she deserves, I'd tell them. Mom would smile softly, and Dad would pat my shoulder like he was proud of the man I'd become. On the surface, Emma and I seemed perfect. She'd kiss me goodbye every morning, tell me she loved me, and send selfies of her hanging out with her friends. But every once in a while, I'd catch this flicker in her eyes, like she was somewhere else entirely. She started zoning out mid-conversation, laughing a little too hard at her phone, going out more often with people I'd never met. When I'd ask if everything was okay, she'd brush it off. Just tired, babe. Work's been crazy. Then there was my cousin, Ryan. Ryan had always been the charming one in the family. Loud, confident, funny, the kind of guy who could make strangers feel like old friends. But with Emma, he was different, too attentive, too playful, too quick to sit next to her at gatherings or whisper jokes in her ear. I noticed it, sure, but I told myself not to be insecure. He's family, I reminded myself. Don't overthink it. But as I finalized the date for the proposal, something shifted. Emma's smiles got tighter, her hugs a bit shorter. Her eyes lingered on her phone more than on me. And for the first time, I felt a quiet, heavy dread settle in my chest. I spent weeks planning the proposal, longer than I want to admit. I'd walk past the jewelry box every morning before work, lifting it just enough to reassure myself it was still there. The ring wasn't extravagant, but it was meaningful. It symbolized every hour I'd worked, every plan I'd made, every moment I'd imagined for our future. I rehearsed what I'd say in the mirror, stumbling over the same line until it finally sounded right. You're the person I want to grow old with. The night I finally proposed, my hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the ring. We were at the lake where we'd had our first date. Quiet water, a soft breeze, leaves rustling like they were whispering encouragement. Emma, I said, my voice cracking a little. I love you more than anything in this world. She looked at me, eyes wide, but not in the way I expected. Not excited, not overwhelmed. Something else, something unreadable. Babe, what's going on? She whispered. I laughed nervously. What do you mean? I'm asking you to marry me. She hesitated for a second too long enough for my stomach to twist, then forced a smile. Yes, of course I will. She said the right words, but her voice had that trembling, tight edge you hear when someone's pretending to be happy. I pulled her into a hug, but she felt stiff, like her body wasn't matching the moment. Later that night at my parents' house, everyone gathered around to celebrate. People clapped, teased us, asked about wedding ideas. But Ryan, he didn't congratulate me. He just smirked, lifted his drink, and said, Big step, man. Hope you're ready. Emma wouldn't look at him. He wouldn't look at her. But something passed between them. Something invisible, but charged. I felt it. I felt it deep in my gut, like a small warning bell ringing somewhere I tried to ignore. And as the night went on, I couldn't shake the strange sense that someone else already knew a secret I didn't. The first few days after the engagement should have felt magical, but instead, they felt fragile. Like the whole thing was balanced on a thin piece of glass I was scared to touch. Emma kept the ring on, but she twisted it constantly, like it made her uncomfortable. Whenever I'd mention wedding plans, she'd give this half smile and say, Yeah, we'll figure it out, before changing the subject. I tried telling myself she was just overwhelmed, but deep down, something felt off, like I was dragging her toward a future she wasn't sure she wanted. At first, the changes were small. She stopped cuddling me before bed. She started leaving the room whenever her phone buzzed. She'd take longer showers, longer drives, longer girls' nights that somehow didn't include any pictures with friends like before. I finally asked, Em, is everything okay? She gave a tight laugh and replied, You're acting weird. Don't turn into one of those paranoid fiancés. But the distance kept growing, especially around Ryan. He'd show up at family gatherings, crack jokes that weren't funny, and make these passive comments like, "Marriage really exposes people," or "Hope you both know what you're getting into." Whenever he walked into a room, Emma straightened up like she'd been caught doing something wrong. And when their eyes met, even for a split second, there was something in the air, a tension, a history, something I couldn't name. Once, at Sunday dinner, Ryan bumped her shoulder, by accident, and she flinched hard, too hard. I looked at her, startled. "You okay?" She forced a smile. "Yeah, just startled." But she wouldn't look at me. Later that night, I walked past the living room and heard Emma whispering fiercely into her phone. "You said you wouldn't bring it up again. Stop making this harder." When she saw me, she jumped and hung up instantly. My heart thudded in my chest, and for the first time, the thought crossed my mind. What if the cracks in our relationship weren't new? What if they'd been there all along, and I was only just seeing them now? The more I tried to ignore the uneasiness, the louder it became, like a steady hum in the back of my skull that I couldn't shut off. Emma's behavior kept shifting in ways that didn't make sense. She'd leave home dressed up for errands, but when I'd ask who she was meeting, she'd shrug it off with, "Just the girls, relax." Except, the girls started slipping. Little inconsistencies, mismatched timelines, conversations that didn't align with Emma's stories. One night, I finally said, "Can I come with you? I haven't hung out with them in a while." She froze mid-step, her keys in hand, then forced a laugh. "Babe, it's just bridesmaid stuff. You'll be bored out of your mind." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Around the same time, Ryan's presence became heavier. He'd linger a little too long after family dinners, finding excuses to stay behind when others left. He'd clap me on the back and say things like, "Big wedding coming up. Stressful stuff, man. Hope you're ready for the surprises." I'd brush it off as his usual obnoxious humor, but the way Emma would tense whenever he spoke, like she was bracing for impact, made my stomach twist. Then came the voice note. One night, while Emma showered, her phone lit up on the counter. I didn't touch it, but I saw the preview flash across the screen, a voice note from Ryan. It lasted 10 seconds before disappearing into the lock screen. My pulse quickened. When Emma came out, steam swirling around her, she snatched the phone so fast it slipped from her hand. "Why are you staring at my phone?" she snapped. I wasn't," I stammered. "I just saw it light up." "It's nothing," she said too quickly, too defensively. "Just family stuff." But she deleted it instantly. Later that week, I overheard Ryan in the backyard talking to someone on the phone. "She needs to chill. I told her it won't stay hidden forever." He didn't see me standing by the doorway, and suddenly the hum in my head became a warning siren. Something was wrong. Deeply, painfully wrong. And whatever it was, they were both trying to keep it from me. The shift happened on a random Tuesday afternoon, one of those days where nothing feels dramatic, yet everything quietly changes. Emma had taken my car earlier that morning because hers needed gas, and when she returned, she tossed the keys on the counter like she was in a rush to get away from me. I didn't think much of it until later, when I slipped into the passenger seat to grab my jacket. That's when I saw it. A bracelet, thin, silver, with a tiny, engraved charm, lying half tucked between the seat and the center console. I froze. I knew that bracelet. It belonged to Ryan. His sister had given it to him years ago, and he never went anywhere without it. He called it his lucky charm. My chest tightened. I picked it up slowly, almost hoping I was wrong. When Emma came into the driveway, I walked up to her, holding the bracelet out. "Hey, this was in the car. Did you drop something?" Her whole body went rigid. "What? No, that's not mine." "I know," I said quietly. "It's Ryan's." Her eyes widened, but only for a split second before she plastered on this shaky smile. "Oh, right. He must have been in the car last week when we took it to the store." "You didn't take my car last week," I replied. She swallowed hard. I mean a few weeks ago. Whatever. Why are you making this weird?" I didn't push further, but something inside me cracked open, a small voice whispering, "This isn't a coincidence." That night, while I tried to calm myself down, an old friend from high school messaged me. "Hey man, weird question. Did you ever hear what Ryan said about Emma that night he was drunk at Sarah's place?" My fingers trembled. "What did he say?" The friend hesitated before replying. "He said he and Emma had a moment before you two ever got serious, something he shouldn't have done." My throat went dry. What kind of moment? He went silent before sending one last message. Ask Emma. It wasn't my place. My heart pounded so loud, it felt like it echoed in the room. And for the first time, I realized I might be standing on the edge of a truth I wasn't prepared to hear. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling my heartbeat in my throat. By morning, something inside me had snapped. Not in anger, but in clarity. I needed answers. Real ones. No more excuses. No more pretending the cracks weren't there. When Emma walked into the kitchen, still groggy, I said quietly, "We need to talk." She froze mid-step. About what? I placed the bracelet on the table between us. About this, and about what Ryan said. I'm done guessing. Tell me the truth. Her face drained of color. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, like her brain was trying to find a version of reality she could get away with. Babe, listen, it's not what you think. Then what is it? I asked, my voice steady but cold. Because right now, it looks like you're terrified about something you should have told me a long time ago. Emma's hands trembled as she pressed them to her face. I didn't want to hurt you, she whispered, her voice cracking. It was a mistake. It was stupid. We were both drunk, and it shouldn't have happened. My stomach dropped. What shouldn't have happened? She looked up at me with red, watery eyes. I slept with Ryan. For a moment, the world went silent, like someone had muted reality. I didn't hear the fridge humming, or the clock ticking, or even my own breath. Just those words, replaying in my mind like a broken record. When? I finally forced out. She broke completely. 2 weeks before you proposed, she whispered. He said we could just forget it. I thought it was over. I thought it wouldn't matter if you never found out. A sharp coldness spread through my chest. So you said yes to marrying me, knowing this? I was scared you'd leave, she sobbed. I didn't want to lose you. I stared at her, feeling something inside me detach, like a door slamming shut. The woman I loved wasn't who I thought she was. And this betrayal was only the beginning. Because the moment she finished speaking, I knew she hadn't told me everything. I left the house after Emma's confession because I couldn't breathe in the same walls that held her lie. I drove aimlessly until the sun went down, and when I finally returned, her parents' car was already in the driveway. The moment I stepped through the door, her mother rushed toward me with this tight, rehearsed smile. Sweetheart, can we talk? She asked softly, like she was the one who'd been betrayed. Emma sat on the couch, eyes red and swollen. Her father cleared his throat. Listen, son, he began. What happened was before marriage. Don't throw away something good over a mistake. I let out a bitter laugh. A mistake? She slept with my cousin 2 weeks before I proposed. Her mother flinched, but didn't back down. She was overwhelmed. People do stupid things when they're scared. So, I'm supposed to marry her anyway? I asked. Emma sniffled and whispered, Please, I just want to fix this. Before I could respond, her father stepped in again. Think rationally. Don't humiliate our families over something that can be forgiven. The choice of words hit me like a slap. Our families. Not my pain, not my betrayal, just their image. Before I could say anything, footsteps echoed behind us. Ryan walked in. He didn't look apologetic. He didn't even look guilty. He just crossed his arms and said, I don't know what Emma told you, but she's twisting it. She came on to me. I told her it was a bad idea. Emma shot up from the couch. That's not true. You said... Ryan cut her off with a smirk. Come on, Em. Don't make this worse. My fist clenched at my sides. So you're lying now? He shrugged. Believe whatever you want. My voice shook, not with fear, but with rage. I have your bracelet, your messages, your behavior, and I have people who heard you brag about that night. For the first time, Ryan's expression changed. Just a flicker, but enough. Later that night, after everyone left, my phone buzzed. A new voice note from Ryan. His slurred voice filled the room. You think you know everything? You don't know half of it. And in the background, someone laughed. My blood ran cold. I must have replayed Ryan's voice note 100 times, each time hoping I misheard it, each time feeling another piece of myself crumble. His voice was thick with alcohol, smug, taunting, like he wanted to twist the knife deeper. You don't know half of it, man, he slurred. She came running to me, begged me not to say anything. And honestly, watching you play the perfect fiancé was hilarious. Then he laughed. Loud, cruel, vicious. A laugh that turned my stomach. By the end of it, something inside me broke. I sank onto the floor, my back against the couch, and just stared at nothing. My hands were shaking so badly, I had to clench them to stop. The room felt heavy, suffocating. It smelled like stale air and old heartbreak, like everything I'd built had suddenly rotted beneath me. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I just sank, like a man drowning quietly where no one could see. Emma knocked softly on the bedroom door. "Can I come in?" Her voice was small, barely a whisper. I didn't answer at first. When I finally did, it sounded like someone else speaking. "Say whatever you need to say." She stepped in, trembling. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please believe me. I never meant to hurt you. Ryan is twisting it. He's making it worse." "He said you begged him," I cut in. Her face crumpled. "He's lying. He's trying to ruin everything." I stared at her, but couldn't feel anything anymore. No anger, no love. Just a cold, hollow ache spreading through my chest. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. She dropped to her knees beside me. "Because I knew you'd leave, and I couldn't handle losing you." For a second, her hand reached for mine, but I pulled away. She froze. "I don't even know who I'm looking at anymore," I said. She cried silently, her shoulders shaking, but I felt numb, completely numb. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed until sunrise, staring at the floor, realizing this was the lowest I had ever felt in my life. And I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't keep living in the dark. I needed the truth, every last piece of it. By morning, something inside me had shifted. Not healed, not calmed, but sharpened. The numbness from the night before crystallized into clarity. If I was going to move forward, I needed the full truth. Not the pieces Emma drip-fed me, not the twisted half-lies Ryan threw around. I needed everything. And I needed the people who kept telling me to forgive and forget, to finally hear what they were asking me to swallow. I started quietly. First, I reached out to the friend who'd warned me. "I need the details," I said. "All of them." He hesitated, then finally told me everything. How Ryan bragged about sleeping with Emma before the engagement. How he laughed about getting one over on the family's golden boy. How he said Emma was too scared to admit she wanted it. Hearing it again felt like someone punching me in the chest, but I didn't stop him. I needed the truth more than I needed comfort. Next, I gathered every message, every call log, every suspicious timeline from the past few months. I printed screenshots, saved voice notes, and even wrote down what Emma had confessed word for word. It felt dirty, like I was invading my own life, but it was necessary. During this, Emma tried to apologize again. "Can we please talk?" she whispered from the doorway. "We will," I said, without looking up. "Just not yet." She didn't know what that meant, and for once, I didn't explain myself. Then I messaged the people who needed to be there. Both families, my siblings, her bridesmaids, close relatives. "Please make sure you attend the rehearsal dinner. There are things that need to be cleared before the wedding." Nobody questioned it. They all wanted the wedding smoothed over. In a way, so did I, just not the way they imagined. As I folded the printed screenshots into an envelope, the weight of it felt like closure waiting to happen. Not revenge, not spite, just the truth, finally laid bare. And as the night of the rehearsal approached, I walked into the venue, holding everything I'd uncovered, steady, silent, and ready. Because once I started talking, no one in that room would see Emma, or Ryan, the same way again. The rehearsal dinner was supposed to be warm and festive. Dim lights, soft music, clinking glasses, families blending before the big day. But when I walked in holding that envelope, everything looked different. The room felt tight, heavy with expectation. Emma's parents waved me over, relieved. "Thank God you're here," her mother whispered. "Let's just move past this." Emma sat beside them, eyes puffy, twisting her engagement ring like it was burning her. I didn't sit. Instead, I cleared my throat and said, "Before we continue, I need everyone's attention." The chatter stopped instantly. Forks froze midair. My own mother looked at me with cautious eyes. Ryan, standing near the bar, smirked like he already won. "We can't move forward with this wedding," I said calmly. "Not until the truth is out." Emma's voice cracked. "Please, don't do this here." I opened the envelope. "Emma slept with Ryan 2 weeks before I proposed." Gasps echoed around the room. a ripple of shock that spread faster than I expected. Emma's mother covered her mouth. Her father stared at Ryan, stunned. My aunt whispered, "Oh my God." Ryan let out a laugh, forced, brittle. "Come on, man, don't be dramatic." I hit play on the speaker. His drunken voice filled the room. "She begged me. Watching him play the perfect fiancé was hilarious. He doesn't know half of it." Every face turned toward him, wide-eyed, horrified, judgmental. Emma burst into tears. "Ryan, stop lying. You told me?" But I wasn't finished. I held up the bracelet. "He left this in her car, and I have the messages, the late-night calls, her confession." Emma collapsed into her chair, sobbing uncontrollably. Her parents looked shattered, not for me, but for the humiliation washing over them. Ryan tried to walk out, but my uncle blocked the doorway. "Not so fast," he muttered. Voices exploded, accusations, shouting, crying. But I just stood there, strangely calm, as everything they tried to hide finally surfaced. "I won't marry someone who betrays me," I said quietly. And then I turned toward the door, leaving the chaos swelling behind me, knowing this was only the beginning of the fallout. The days after the rehearsal dinner felt unreal, like I was watching my own life from somewhere outside my body. Word spread fast, faster than I expected, faster than anyone could control. By morning, my phone was flooded with messages from relatives, friends, coworkers, even people I barely knew. "Are you okay? Is it true? Man, I can't believe Ryan did that." Every notification felt like another reminder of what had blown apart. Emma's family took the hardest hit. Her mother called me first, her voice sharp and trembling. "You didn't have to humiliate us like that," she snapped. "There were better ways to handle this." I let out a slow breath. "You asked me to think rationally. That was me thinking rationally." "You ruined our reputation," she cried. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Later that day, Emma showed up at my house, eyes swollen, makeup smeared, hair pulled into a messy knot. She didn't knock. She just leaned against the doorway like she couldn't hold herself up. "Please," she whispered. "Can we talk?" I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. "What do you want to say?" She wiped her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I know sorry doesn't fix it, but I swear, Ryan twisted everything. I didn't want any of this." "He didn't force you," I said quietly. "You made a choice. Then you hid it." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "I was scared. I thought if you knew, you'd never look at me the same." "You were right," I said. For a moment, silence hung between us. Heavy, painful, final. Later, I heard that Ryan's siblings tore into him. One of them even sent me a message. "I'm so sorry. He's always been reckless. But this is another level." Apparently, Ryan had been avoiding everyone, claiming I blew things out of proportion. But no one believed him anymore. That evening, just when I thought the dust might finally settle, I got a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. There's something you don't know." Emma, again. And this time, she insisted it was something I had to hear face to face. I met Emma at a small park near her parents' house, the same place we used to sit during quieter times, back when everything felt simple. Now it felt colder, emptier. She stood by one of the benches, hugging her arms like she was bracing against more than the wind. When she saw me approaching, her breath stuttered. "Thanks for coming," she said, her voice barely steady. "I'm not here to reopen anything," I replied. "Just tell me what you need to tell me." She nodded, eyes glossy. "There's something you didn't hear in that voice note, something Ryan didn't say." She swallowed hard. "He didn't just brag because he was drunk. He bragged because he thought it gave him leverage over me." My stomach tightened. "Leverage for what?" "For months," she whispered. "He's been hinting that he'd tell you unless I kept quiet. He'd message me, say things like, 'Remember our little secret?' He made jokes about owing him. He'd corner me at family events. I was terrified you would leave, and I didn't know how to stop him without destroying everything." I stared at her, trying to process it. "Why didn't you come to me?" She shook her head, tears spilling. "Because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust that you'd still love me after what I did. And the longer I waited, the worse it got." Her voice cracked into soft, broken sobs. "I'm not telling you this to win you back. I know I lost that. I wanted you to know the whole truth." The wind rustled the leaves around us, and for a moment, all I heard was my own heartbeat. Slow, heavy, certain. "I appreciate you telling me," I said finally. But it doesn't change what happened. It doesn't change what you chose to hide. She nodded, wiping her face. I know. A quiet peace settled over me. Not forgiveness, but clarity. I'm done carrying this, I said softly. I'm choosing myself now. For the first time in months, my chest felt lighter. Not healed, but free. As I walked away, I realized something. Losing her wasn't the tragedy. Trusting her was. And choosing to walk away was the first decision I'd made for myself in a long, long time.